Hey YouTube people, thank you for clicking on my video, checking out this tent comparison. I'm assuming that's what you clicked for, is because you were interested. This is a comparison between the River Country Products Trekker Tent 1V. They have several different models of their Trekker tents. I like the 1V because it was a 2-wall tent. It comes with a rain fly with a vestibule that sticks out, or you stake out. And it is a non-freestanding tent, which means you have to use trekking poles, whatever. Or you can use sticks, sturdy sticks that you kind of carve off a little bit, to make it work. Or a ridge line if you want to make it difficult on yourself. But also, if there's no wood around for some odd reason and you don't have trekking poles, but you do have paracord, then go for it. This tent, I'm not going to go into full detail because I actually have an individual review for this particular tent. And so if you're interested, in all the details about the company and such as that, then please check that video out. Also, I'm not going to set it up in this video. It will just magically appear set up because I'm shooting this video and that review at the same time. So I will be setting it up for that one. I'm not going to take it back down and set it up again. So this tent is polyurethane coated polyester. It doesn't give any kind of numbers, which, like I said in the other review, I don't know what those numbers even mean. Didn't Google it. It doesn't interest me all that much. As long as it keeps rain out and water, then I'm fine with it. But like I said, it's a non-freestanding tent, so there's no poles, which makes it very light. The site says 2 pounds, 11 ounces. I weighed it for the other review, and it weighed at 2 pounds, 13 ounces. So I imagine the 2 pounds, 11 ounces is for the tent alone. Maybe not the sack, or maybe not the stakes, something along those lines that would make up the other 2 ounce difference. But yeah, this is a nice little tent. I've set it up twice before. Today will be the third time I've set it up. This will be the first time that I've slept in it. I have slept in the other tent that I'm about to talk about and carried it backpacking. But I switched to this one because of the difference in weight. Simple as that. My trekking poles are in my hands, so they're not in my pack. I don't have to worry about the extra weight. And this one stuffed in a lot easier. I can compress it kind of like my sleeping bag shape. Just set it right on top of my sleeping bag. That way I don't have to pull it out every time I want to try to get something on my pack. The other tent is the Nightcat backpacking tent. It's a freestanding tent with fiberglass poles. It weighs 4.4 pounds, so quite a difference, Actually, with the other 2 pounds of weight that I saved, I added this chair to my carry weight. It weighs 2 pounds 4 ounces, so it's a pretty close trade-off. And the chair is awesome. I mean, the comfort. I'll show it to you because I love this chair. It's one of the lightweight, aluminum, aircraft grade, whatever, aluminum chairs. It's kind of like tent poles, in that, everything's attached to a cord. It makes it really easy to stick it together. It just kind of falls together. If you turn it the right way, it'll all kind of fall into place. This brand, some random Amazon brand, Faroop, I'd never, heard of them, like most random Amazon brands I've never heard of that are from China. It's not as light as those super nice $200 camping chairs. I think there's one that's like 1 pound, but still an extra pound, 1.4. That doesn't bother me a bit for the price difference. This, I think I paid $27 on Amazon, somewhere around there. Might have even been cheaper. It may have been around closer to 20. And you know, for the gigantic price difference, I'll carry an extra pound and 4 ounces. And I picked this particular version out of all the Amazon versions because, one, the all aluminum frame, it doesn't have that plastic boot that everything fits into, so you don't have to worry about that plastic breaking. I've had that break on other camping chairs, not this style, but you know, regular fold out camping chairs. And also the feet on this, if you can see that, you know, they have this like disc going around it. These chairs, or this style of chair, is known to sink when you set it into soft ground, mud, whatever. And with this style of foot, it was the only one that I could find on Amazon that had this particular design. It doesn't really sink. I've been very impressed. Right now I'm in mud. You know, like I said, it's been raining all day, so everything's wet. And I haven't sunk in the ground at all. I weigh like 195, and I think any other chair I would have been sinking in the ground, kind of stuck. This chair will also support 330 pounds, they say, but with the shape, you know, I can't imagine a 330 pound person being very comfortable in this chair. It seems like they would kind of be too wide, but I don't know. They also make a high back version, which is maybe $3 or $4 more, and I think it weighs 2 pounds and 12 ounces. It's an extra 8 ounces if I'm not mistaken. But you know, check it out on Amazon. I highly recommend it. It's also got this little pocket here, you know, if you want to put your cell phone, whatever, drink. One's mesh, so yeah, drink would be great for that one, and then the other one is not, so whatever, you know, whatever you want to put in a pocket, who cares. Anyway, enough about the chair. The other tent is the Nightcat that I was talking about. I get sidetracked sometimes, sorry about that. Turn my notes over here. Tell you some of the details and specs on it. I told you the weight at 4.4 pounds. That one was easy to remember. It's officially called the Nightcat backpacking tent. It says 2-person, you know, like the title or whatever. And when you start scrolling down through the Amazon, the details, it says 2-person tent. And then if you scroll farther, it says 1-person tent. So I don't know what they want to consider it as, but it is rather large for a 1-person tent. You know, I have camped in this tent, and it was very spacious. I mean, I had myself, my sleeping pad, everything in there, and tons of room. I mean, it was very impressive. This is 7 foot 2 inches long by 4 foot high by 4 foot wide. So quite a bit of room for 1 person. You could easily fit 2 people, but then you would probably be pretty crowded. This has crappy stakes compared to this other tent. You know, it came with nice aluminum stakes, which I didn't expect from such a budget-friendly tent. This one came with the normal, you know, little thin, wiry aluminum stakes that always bend, like you would expect from any tent in this price range. So nothing out of the ordinary, nothing against them, just this one was better. On Amazon right now, as of today, I checked it, you can get this tent. They actually don't have the orange anymore, or at least the link I had where I'd purchased it. They have blue, lime green, and some other kind of green. And so I think the blue and the lime green were $39.99, which is what I paid for this tent originally also. And the other one is $49.99 for some reason. They do give a little better detail on the fabrics and such, you know, better than the River Country Products site. You know, like I said, there's just says polyester. PU polyester. This one actually says 210D Oxford rainproof fabric, and then the floor is 150D Oxford waterproof fabric. Google the numbers, see what that means. I don't know, but you know, it did rain a little bit, not much at all. You know, and I do camp in the woods, so there's trees everywhere to block most of that rain anyway. But it didn't leak at all when I camped. There was no condensation. It was, let's see, it was in May, so it was warm out. You know, I had my sleeping bag, but I didn't really need it if I would have kept, you know, my clothes on. But it did good. It was very comfortable. It's very big. Nice to sit up in. You know, it has plenty of headroom, and there's some pockets in there. The only thing I really noticed, which I'll show you after I set it up and everything, was the zippers don't quite meet in the middle. There's 3 zippers. It's actually the same with this River Country tent too, only it's not quite as bad on that one. But either way, I don't think anything's getting through there. I think it's sealed up enough, you know, that you don't have to worry about bugs, mosquitoes, and stuff just flying right in. This tent is rated 4.5 stars on Amazon out of 1,118 ratings. So a lot of people have purchased this tent. A lot of people like this tent. For what it is and the price, I think it's a great tent. The other one, the River Country Products, has 4.4 stars, and they only have 79 ratings. So I don't know how long their tents have been on there compared to this one, but either way, that's what it is. The this thing is kind of compressible. It's got these straps here, which I just undid one, and you can tighten these down. It don't compress lengthwise, but you've got your poles in there, so it's only going to get so small. I think I've got it to compress down to around 14 inches, which is about the length of the poles. The poles maybe, once they're folded up, like 13.5 inches, something like that. And so you can literally compress it down to the length of the poles, which is shorter than this. And full disclosure, this is the second of these that I've had. The first one I've set up twice. You know, I said I've used it. This one I haven't used. This was shipped to me today. I got it, and it is the replacement tent. I had, the second time I set it up, the fiberglass, there's a lot of tension on the fiberglass poles as far as the sleeves are concerned. This doesn't have the hook system where you just hook it onto the fiberglass poles, which I really wish it did. That would make it so much better. It has the little polyester sleeve that you have to slide these, you know, break down poles, fiberglass poles through, which tend to get hung up and stuff a lot. But I was setting it up, and I heard some stitching pop, and it was that sleeve. A few stitches popped at the very base of it, a little bit into the orange part of the tent, and the sleeve itself is gray. And so it had maybe 4 threads on the orange, 4 threads in the gray that all popped loose. That wasn't really that big of a deal to me. You know, I had planned on just fixing it with some seam tape, maybe sewing it back together. I didn't even really, it wasn't affecting the tent so much. I did worry a little bit about a leak developing there, but I thought, you know, some seam tape would be fine. But I did contact the company just to let them know that the stitching did pop there the second time I tried to set it up. With nothing, you know, I didn't no intention of getting another tent, but they sent me another tent. This one has been, they said it's open box. It's obviously used. The other one, you know, is brand new, and it was obviously brand new. The orange is much darker. There's no scratches on this cat face or whatever. So yeah, this one's obviously been out in the weather or something. Who knows what, maybe somebody returned it, I don't know. This will be the first time I've opened it on this video, so we'll find out together to see exactly how good their customer service is. But still, an extra free tent, even if it's a used free tent, is above and beyond, in my opinion, considering what that was. Now, if it would have developed into a bigger hole or started leaking, then I would expect a replacement, and I would expect a new tent rather than what's obviously used. But I don't really care that it's used. I've got 2 of them now, which is pretty awesome considering I only paid for 1. And so we're gonna set this thing up. I believe I've went over everything on my notes, just that I wanted. Oh, one last thing. This is a single wall tent, compared to this one. It's the double wall because this one has the rain fly that goes over top of the body of the tent. This one has a rain fly, but you'll see it. It's virtually non-existent. It's kind of, or at least on the other version, I haven't opened this one in particular, but the other one, it had 3 hooks. It's like you hook each corner. One hook, or what would have been a hook, is pre-attached, so that the rain fly doesn't ever, you don't lose it, I guess, maybe, I don't know, but it stays attached to the tent the whole time, even if you're not using it. And then the other 3 hooks do the other 3 corners. But like the windows, the screen mesh part at the top, I mean, there's 2 of them, they're maybe that big. So I imagine this tent will probably get hot, and maybe in very hot summer nights have tons of condensation, in humid weather, humid climates and stuff, which this area tends to get pretty humid. But I don't know, time will tell. So I'm gonna set this thing up and let you see the both of them, and we'll go from there, and I'll wrap it up and tell you what I think of each. But it says this tent can be set up in 2 minutes. Well, I've set this tent up twice so far. This is my 3rd time, and I think 2 minutes is not gonna happen, because it took me way longer than 2 minutes. I think I got like maybe 7 minutes when I tried to hurry, but you really have to set this thing up a lot and master these fiberglass poles in order to do this in 2 minutes. And like I said, this is the replacement tent. So I'm getting my first look at it. Let's see if this is in good shape, terrible shape, just like the other one, whatever. Let's see. I think we'll actually, yeah, that'll work. Now both these tents are the type of tents that you want to set up into the wind so that the wind is blowing into your tent. So, you want your door facing whichever way the wind is coming. And it'll keep you as cool as possible anyway. Now, I highly recommend any tent you set up, use a ground cover of some sort. I use a backpacking tarp, but I only have one, so it's under the other tent, since that's the one I plan on sleeping in tonight. Looks like there are leaves inside this, which I don't really care, but they could have got in there when I was just dragging around. But who knows? We'll see once I get it up how dirty it really is inside. But the outside, from what I can tell already, looks fine. The colors are a little faded compared to the other one that I have. But like I said, it's brand new. The stakes, well, I mean, you can tell by that one, they've obviously been used and bent. And that's the thing about these tiny little stakes, like I was talking earlier. I'd much rather have the aluminum ones because they're stronger, they're lighter, it's more durable all around, easier to deal with. That's good enough. The guy lines. Now on this tent, the colors are a little different. There's a black band. This one's gray. And this one is actually solid, like a nylon strap or something. The other one, the newer one that I have, or the one that's obviously brand new, these are elastic. So I do prefer this, older style I guess it would be. Because the elastic ones, when I tried to tie the guy lines to them, I mean, it just stretched the elastic out really. So I didn't even bother with it. But this tent doesn't really need them. It's so big. You don't need the extra room. And I don't really fear my tent blowing away, particularly when I'm inside it and it's staked down. So I'm just gonna lay these to the side. And the same with any tent, pretty much. You stake the corners and stuff first. And this has the nylon straps to put the stakes through, and then there's a grommet, little, I don't know if it's brass or not, some kind of grommet. And that's what the actual pole fits into. This one is actually broken, missing the back side of the grommet, which it'll still serve its purpose, but it definitely confirms the whole, this is somebody's return tent. So that makes me wonder, is it going to leak? I mean, why'd they return it? I don't think they have a physical store. It's just an Amazon store, so I can't imagine it's a display unit or something like that. I'm not going to bother like pounding these stakes in because I don't want to bend them, and there's really no point. It's not windy right now or anything. I'm in the woods, I'm in the trees. I don't really fear for my tent getting blown away. Even if I'm not in it, you know, I'll probably put my pack in here maybe tonight, just so there is some weight in it. But it's not a big concern. And granted, I've been talking a lot, and I'm not in any kind of rush, but I think you can tell that 2 minutes is definitely a stretch. It's like a marathon pace of tent setter-uppers, whatever you want to call it. Checking since it's used, I want to make sure that these fiberglass poles aren't broken. They seem to be fine. But I just want to make sure before I bother putting it all together. Now, obviously one pole has to go below the other pole, and they recommend in the directions or on the website or something that you put the top pole up and then put the bottom pole up. This will kind of be self-explanatory because without one pole being up, the other one's not going to go up. That actually went through fairly smooth and easy. Sometimes it gets hung up a lot on those sleeves. But the third time trying it, I've kind of mastered it, I guess. And then I just stick this end in the grommet. And that'll be the end of that stack up. just stand them up, put the other end in the grommet, and you got yourself a tent. Snag on something because it's a bit tight. All right. And there we have it. Now we'll just stake out the vestibule and be done. It's set up. And I'll show you the rain fly and give you a tour of the tent. All right, sorry if I'm a little sweaty, but it is very humid out here today, or this evening. And the last thing, I need to tie this up. A lot of people tie this beforehand. Well, it's in a knot, so that's going to take a second. I don't like to tie it beforehand because I don't have much luck getting the poles going through the way I want to. And then here is the rain fly that I was talking about with the pre-attached cord. And you just make sure the seam tape is on the right side, which it's this side. It's got the seam tape. You can see it there. So focus. I think you get the gist. Whereas that side is the outside. So I'm going to set you down, tie this up, get this knot out of this thing, and then give you a final tour and we'll be done with this. And then after that, I'm staying the night, maybe 2 nights here. Try to get these tents rained on, see if any water gets in them, and give you my final thoughts. So it's almost dark. It's really kind of dusk. The sun just set, but it's not dark out there. But here in the woods, it's definitely getting dark. So I need to hurry and show you this before I lose my light. But I wanted to show you these little holes that I was talking about. Those are your vent holes. And you can see how small those are, this one and this one. But I'm going to go ahead and put the rain fly on. And just hook it to these nylon straps on here. Or elastic on the other version. I definitely prefer the nylon. It just seems stronger. And then there's the one that's pre-attached. And that's your tiny little rain fly. And so you can see the vestibule. Come to this side, get a better look. We got that door open. It's much smaller than the other one. Much smaller as far as the vestibule goes. But the interior of the tent is bigger, so what do you do? This one, of course, has got the tie backs. It's got the Velcro to help with the rain flap, although it only has the one piece of Velcro at the bottom. These zippers work just fine as well. They're actually not as smooth as the other tent, but they're fine. I wanted to see if I could actually pull this out a little bit more to give it just a tiny bit more room, but I don't think it will. Especially with one hand. I'm not sure that made a difference at all, but let's see. But you can see inside the tent, obviously it's kind of dark in there now. You can see actually better on my phone here than you can with my real eyes, seems like. And you can see, well, the zipper's open. This gap, where am I at here? Which is not bad. I think this one's actually a little better than the other tent, the other version of this same tent. Maybe if I put that zipper on the inside, it'll be even better. Yeah, this one actually lines up a little better than the other one did. So that's cool, even if it's a used tent. I will be using some camp dry or something, some silicone spray to help with the waterproofing, just to ensure that this doesn't get wet inside. And then inside, it's got quite a bit of room. You've got a pocket there. And if you can see how much headroom I have still. And then of course this one is 7 foot 2 inches long, whereas the other one's 7 foot. So I would obviously have 2 extra inches when I lay down in it. And then the width is pretty comparable, only this one is even all the way across. This one is 48 inches across, whereas the other one is 50 at the door, 30 at the back. So it tapers. You lose a little bit of foot room, but overall they're pretty close to the same as far as room. This one does have a lot more headspace though. And then you've got this hook for a lantern or a light or whatever you want to hang. And that's it. Okay, so it did not rain last night like I was hoping, but it did start raining about 10 this morning when I was packing up. So I left the tents up. It's 8:20 now, p.m. And, well, obviously. So we're going to check on these tents, see if they're dry inside. It's rained pretty hard today. Everything is good and saturated. So you can see the tent. This is the first one. The River Country Products Trekker Tent 1V. See, some water is pulled up on that. So we'll see how wet or dry it is inside. Okay. And it is completely dry. There's not a drop of water in it anywhere. The mesh is still dry completely. So it did great. Nothing by the door. I'll go all the way to the end just to be sure. Dry as a bone. Alright. So it did great in the rain. Zip this back up. I'm leaving it up here since they're soaking wet. Give them a chance to dry. Don't feel like carrying wet tents out of here. And now for this one. The Nightcat backpacker tent. There's the logo. The little rain fly. And it is also dry. Oh, there's a little water there. I might have just done that though. I'm not sure. You can see it running down. I don't know if I just did that or not. But it is possible. So chalk it up to that. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say that was my fault. But then again, we'll see when I come back to get these tents tomorrow or whenever it does stop raining. If there's any more than what was in there just now. Which is not much at all now. But overall, it seemed to be dry. Just right there at the door, which could have been me. So, my final thoughts on both these tents. Both have their ups and downs. There's things I like about both of them. I wish the door was on the side of the River Country Products tent. I like the door and the height of the Nightcat tent, but the Nightcat tent is heavier. So the Trekker tent's got it beat for sure there. I will definitely continue to use the Trekker tent. I'm very happy with how dry it stayed, with the weight, and with pretty much everything about it. I do recommend either one of these tents. If you don't want to go through the hassle of setting up a Trekker pole tent, if you want a little more room, a little more headroom, I would definitely recommend the Nightcat backpacking tent. And I definitely recommend the River Country Products tent. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, please.